Amara Johnson had spent her entire life breaking barriers. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, she grew up with parents who constantly reminded her that the world might not always be fair, but her response to it could shape her destiny. She was brilliant, ambitious, and focused, earning her aerospace engineering degree by the age of 23 and quickly rising through the ranks of aviation safety. By the time she turned 29, she had achieved something almost unheard of. She was appointed as the Chief FAA Inspector, one of the youngest and only black women ever to hold that position. Her work required her to travel frequently across the country and sometimes internationally, making sure airlines complied with regulations, safety procedures, and passenger rights. She carried herself with quiet confidence, never flaunting her title unless it was necessary. Most of the time, she dressed simply, often blending in with the very passengers she was tasked with protecting. It was on a warm afternoon in Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport that the incident took place. Amara had just returned from an exhausting inspection in Houston and was scheduled to catch a connecting flight to Washington, D.C., where she was due to meet with the Department of Transportation for a crucial presentation. She walked toward the gate with her black leather carry-on, wearing a fitted blazer, jeans, and sneakers, practical yet professional. As she approached the counter, she noticed the gate agent, a middle-aged man with thinning hair and a sharp, impatient expression, barking orders at passengers. His name tag read, Richard. He seemed to single out travelers who appeared confused, speaking to them harshly, while he smiled at others who carried themselves in business suits or looked affluent. When Amara reached the counter, Richard barely glanced at her before sighing heavily. "Passport and boarding pass," he demanded. Amara handed them over with a polite smile. Richard examined her documents, then gave her a long, scrutinizing look. His lips curled into a smirk as he flipped her passport open and closed several times. "This doesn't look right," he muttered loudly, drawing attention from the passengers standing nearby. Amara raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." Richard tapped the passport against the counter. "I said this doesn't look right. Where did you get this? Looks fake to me." Amara's calm demeanor remained, though she felt the sting of humiliation as several people in line glanced at her with suspicion. "That passport is issued by the United States of America. It is very real. I need you to return it to me immediately." Instead of complying, Richard smirked again. "You people are always trying something. I've seen plenty of fake passports, and this looks like one." "You people," Amara repeated, her voice steady but edged with quiet strength. Richard shrugged. "Don't play innocent. I know a fake when I see one." Before she could respond, Richard did something unthinkable. He pulled out a lighter from his pocket, a lighter he had clearly confiscated from another passenger earlier in the day, and, to the horror of everyone around, he lit the corner of her passport on fire. The crowd gasped. Amara's eyes widened as smoke curled upward. She quickly reached across the counter, snatching the passport out of his hands and patting the small flame out with her palm. The document was badly charred at the edges but still intact. "You just destroyed federal property," Amara said in a low, steady voice that carried authority. Richard scoffed. "It was fake anyway. I saved Homeland Security some trouble." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A mother covered her child's ears. A businessman shook his head in disbelief. Amara inhaled deeply, centering herself. For years, her parents had taught her not to let anger control her, but to use her words, her education, and her position to fight back. And in that moment, she knew this was not just about her, it was about everyone who had ever been judged, belittled, or discriminated against. She reached into her blazer pocket and pulled out a sleek black wallet. Opening it with precision, she revealed her official FAA badge. "My name is Amara Johnson," she said clearly, projecting her voice so that everyone within earshot could hear. "I am the Chief FAA Inspector for this region, and you, sir, have not only violated federal law but also endangered passenger rights by destroying a valid passport. This airport and airline will answer for your actions." The silence that followed was deafening. Richard's smirk vanished. His face drained of color. Several passengers gasped. "She's the FAA." Someone whispered. Another pulled out their phone, already recording. Amara turned toward the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed the unlawful destruction of a United States passport by a gate agent. I encourage anyone who recorded this incident to share it with airport security immediately." Within minutes, airport police arrived. Richard stumbled through excuses, claiming he thought the passport was fake, that he was just doing his job. But the police officers were unsympathetic. They placed him in handcuffs as the crowd erupted in applause. Amara, however, did not bask in the moment. Instead, she calmly walked to a quiet corner, pulled out her phone, and contacted her office. Within hours, word spread across the aviation community. The airline's regional director personally came to the gate to apologize, his face flushed with embarrassment. "Ms. Johnson, please, on behalf of the airline, I am deeply sorry. This should never have happened. Richard's behavior is unacceptable, and he will be terminated immediately. Please allow us to replace your passport and provide whatever accommodations you require." Amara fixed him with a steady gaze. "This is not just about me. This is about systemic bias and the mistreatment of passengers. I will be conducting a full investigation into this airline's hiring and training practices. This is not going away quietly." News outlets picked up the story within hours. Gate agent burns passenger's passport, unaware she's Chief FAA Inspector, trended across social media. Clips of Amara calmly revealing her badge went viral, with millions praising her composure and strength. The Department of Transportation issued a statement reaffirming passenger rights and condemning discriminatory behavior in airports. The FAA announced a new initiative to ensure stricter training for airline staff, with Amara spearheading the effort. But perhaps the most powerful moment came days later when Amara stood at a press conference, addressing the nation. "Respect should never be optional," she said firmly. "No one should have to carry a title or a badge to be treated with dignity. My story made headlines because of who I am, but every day, countless passengers face humiliation, discrimination, or mistreatment. That ends now. The FAA is committed to ensuring airports and airlines are safe, fair, and respectful spaces for all." The applause thundered through the room, echoing far beyond the walls of the press hall. And as Amara walked off the stage, her passport replaced but the scars of the incident still fresh, she knew her parents' lessons had been right all along. The world might not always be fair, but with strength, perseverance, and courage, she had the power to make it better.